Hello, hello. How are you guys doing? Which project are you working on right now? Yeah, other people can speak. If you want to be added as a attendee, panelist, you can raise your hand, and then I'll bring you as panelist so you can share your screen. Hey, great to have you. So, for those of you that don't know, it's Byron is a developer. He's gonna present Cycle Ops in 2 days. It's on day 6, and it's a pretty
Or
cool
is that on
project.
Saturday? Or
Yeah, Saturday,
Okay.
3 days.
Oh, you're in different times than me, so yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, great to have you here.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Just wanted to check out and see how everything's going. And I peeped in on one of the lectures earlier and on I think arrays and lists and other data structures, and it was really nice and clean and straightforward. So yeah, I guess a little bit about myself. I found the Internet Computer back in early 2022, and there was a hackathon back then called Supernova, and I built this project called CanDB for that, which is a horizontally scalable data store, similar to like Amazon DynamoDB. And they essentially targeted towards projects that are looking to be a little bit bigger on the Internet Computer once they've got their initial kinks worked out and they're ready to scale to multiple canisters. But yeah, Motoko is a really beautiful language, and it fits really nicely on the Internet Computer. So if anyone has any questions or wants to learn a little bit about what it's like to be a developer on the IC, I'd be happy to answer any of those questions.
And Motoko is getting better and better.
Yeah, it's definitely improved since I started. And I just got back from Zurich. There was an ICP lab there, which was focused on the topic of storage and performance and scalability on the Internet Computer. And it's really motivating to meet the team. So many brilliant engineers they have at Dfinity, and also the Motoko team. Got to have some one-on-one sessions with them and really hear about the vision for what Motoko will become on the Internet Computer. It's very exciting.
Can you share a few sneak peeks? What you've learned?
Sure. Well, so right now, most of what you are developing on is a space in the canister called main memory or heap memory. And heap memory has a limit of how far you can go on it before you hit a canister's limit. This is the same thing in a Rust canister or a TypeScript canister or any type of canister. And there's also another second type of memory called stable memory. And stable memory is currently 48 gigabytes in size, so much, much larger, but it's very inflexible. Stable memory is you have to know exactly the types of what you're working with, and you can't really change or mutate it. It also has performance issues. It's a lot slower, it's more expensive. And so Dfinity's putting a lot of work into stable memory because it's actually more secure when you do upgrades. And on top of that, there's just so much more space available to, because it's running under WASM 64, whereas the heap memory is running on WASM 32. And so what the Motoko team is planning on doing is they're planning on, instead of like Rust, where you have to think about, okay, am I working in heap memory or stable memory? And how does garbage collection work? How do I clean up my pointers and manage memory manually? What the Motoko team is going to do is they're going to take the heap and they're going to transfer it to stable memory. So then you'll have a heap that is 64-bit in size. And that allows you to address, much, essentially use stable memory as you're programming today. And I think this is something that we may, in fact, see potentially in the next 6 to 12 months, which would be really exciting because that's something that Rust can't do. That's something that TypeScript can't do. It's something only that Motoko can do because the team has full control over the language and the internals of it. So I'm very excited about that, and continuing to have that like extra level of abstraction that means that you as a developer can just focus on building your application instead of wondering about, am I in heap memory? Am I in stable memory? What am I doing? What keywords do I use?
Yeah,
So,
I've also like I just love Motoko. I don't know, like it's just so efficient for building on the IC. And I didn't had like an exact like too much precise like topics, but I knew that like I like the IC is so different than like other platforms, and also the way it's evolving, like it's constantly evolving, and I think it makes total sense to have a language for it. And yeah, I'm just also like in love with Motoko, and also the logo is cool, so I'm
yeah,
very
yeah.
much enthusiastic on the future of Motoko. I think it's gonna be great, and the direction that Definity is taking is very interesting. Yeah.
It's a very clean language. It's a very concise language, and it's also a very safe language. Being specifically built for the internet computer, you're not going to get into trouble importing libraries or using language features in other languages that you know you can't, because you can do things in those other languages that you just can't do on the internet computer. With Motoko, is built specifically for the internet computer, so you know that everything you use has a purpose on the internet computer. Someone asked in the Q&A, how
Yeah.
do you feel as a Motoko developer, and where do you see your developer career in the next couple of years? I think that's a good question. That's a great question. I would be asking the same thing. I think as a developer, it's always good to learn many different tools about what's going on around you. So right now, like artificial intelligence is very big, and it may be difficult to do artificial intelligence on the internet computer, but if you pair that with knowledge of TypeScript or Go or any other language where you can do sorts of processing on Web 2, and then you can insert specific data on Web 3, like I think it's important to stay open and not just dive all in on a language like Motoko, but also to learn other languages as well, both on the internet computer and outside of that, to expand yourself as a developer. I think Motoko has the most how do I say this? Like, I think the performance and impact you're going to be able to get out of Motoko in the future in terms of being an IC developer is going to be
very
it's
worthy, I would say, like in terms of time investment and what you can build with it.
Yeah, you can build things really quickly, and I think it'll be very, very performant, and it'll just feel so native. It'll be almost like building an iOS application with Swift versus maybe trying to build it in JavaScript or TypeScript. It's just not the same thing. So I see myself, I currently work on several different projects. And I can see myself continuing to expand that and also become an advisor as more developers come along, as people start to build bigger projects on the IC. And I'd also love to work on the protocol at some point as well, get more involved in like the internals of the IC itself.
Cool. Okay, so yeah, the idea for today was to go through a bit of day 2. So I wanted to help people that are in struggle. So I have a question. Maybe you want to go on screen, Kim or Ka Nguyen, I don't know. Maybe you want to go on screen with your problem. So this is the last function you need to implement, I think. Search homework.
There are a few more questions coming in the chat right now.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the day 2 ready. Okay, let's say you're a smart contract developer in the EVM world. Will you change your path to be an IC developer, or will you stay in the EVM ecosystem? My my take on is pretty clear. I'll go on the IC because it's like just much more interesting what you can build. But of course, I guess it depends on the situation. Maybe you have a project going on EVM. Yeah. What would you answer to that?
Yeah, one of the nice things about being an internet computer developer is you can develop on multiple chains. So you can use threshold ECDSA to transact on other blockchains. There's already examples of certain teams in the Internet Computer Asia community that have demonstrated like a transaction triggering from the IC and hitting a MetaMask wallet, or performing a transaction on the Ethereum blockchain. So it's a very interoperable blockchain. I really think of the internet computer as a, Seb and I are both very bullish on the internet computer as why would you develop anywhere else? But there's a lot of people on other blockchains, there's a lot of utility on other blockchains, and the internet computer sort of allows you to, has all the tools to allow you to seamlessly connect those two. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, I think the IC can be like, you can go, like I would take just my situation. Like my situation personally was, I think Web3 is like super interesting. And I just spent like a few months looking into the different platforms, and I really I knew it was for me, like a career path I wanted to go into. So I was starting from zero, and I just look into like all the possibilities. And I would say like, if it's your case, I think I strongly think that the IC is the best place. But maybe you are starting from like a different background and you already know like Solidity, or maybe you already have a project on Ethereum, and then maybe the IC will be something different for you. In that case, you can also have like Chainkey Bitcoin, Chainkey Ethereum, and you can also use like Canister just to host your front ends, so that you can decentralize at least the front end of your application. And yeah, so Let's go for day 2. I wanted to give a few help for people because I know some people are like a bit stuck and they might not know where to start. So this is very much what I wanted to do today. We have the homework diary and we have the steps for it. So let's go for it. I'm gonna do, I think, the first 3 questions, and if anyone has a problem in the chat, please let me know if something is off or if you don't understand. So the first thing to do is to import the time from the time library. So this is how you do it. We'll import it. We need to do that because the type time is actually not defined by default in Motoko, and you need to get it from the time library. So this is how you do it. Time.time. I know it's a bit confusing. I remember being a bit confused with that, but it just means you have the time library and you import the time type. Okay, now we can move to the next question. We need to define a record type. So it's just an object. So we define a type like this, and then it's a record with different fields. We have the field title of type text. We have the description. Due date, this is where we use the time. And the completed field of type Boolean. Okay, so we have our types defined. The next question was to define a data structure. So you could use a buffer or an array to store the homework. So in that case, I'm going to go for a buffer. And for a buffer, you need to import the buffer library as well. This is because buffer is a class, and we need to instantiate it with this syntax. So buffer.buffer. We provide the initial capacity. I'm going to go for 0. This is going to grow automatically. And I also need to provide the type that is going to be inside the buffer. So in this case, it's homework. And so this is step 1, question 1. This is the question 2. And so we're good. Then the next function. So we need to implement add homework, which accepts homework, adds the homework, and returns the ID of the homework. The ID should be the index in the data structure. So let's go for it. Whenever it's whenever it's not precise private, always assume that you have to implement a public function. So public function add homework. The argument is the ID, which is going to be a nat. And then, no, the argument is the homework. And then we return the ID, which is of type nat. So I think we've already seen the buffer quite a few times already, but just to remind you, you can always go on the documentation page. And yeah, usually like the basic functions are always on top. So like add is pretty important function. So this is the second one. You can find it here. Actually, I should call this homework diary. So let's add homework. And now we want to get the index. So the index is, in this case, would be the size of the diary, but before adding into the data structure. So that size. This will give you the current number of elements in the buffer. can return this. We can return the index. Yes, good question, Julian. When an element is removed from the buffer, all indexes get rearranged. So yes, in that case, if you use buffer.remove, this is going to remove the element at the index provided, and then it's gonna shift all the values on one position to the left. So yes, and just to verify that there is no way to, I'm just checking all the functions. Yes. So yes. Okay, great to hear that you fix your question. In day 2, when you say return a unit value wrap in a OK result, yeah, I should maybe, when I say this, it means something like this. So you have to import results. I should provide a bit more indication for that. I think it's not very clear, but it basically means results.results. Actually, let's pause the homework diary. So we have done what I wanted to do, which is the first 3 questions. And let's go to the result page. This is the documentation, well, the guide on the result type. So the result type is like very, very useful, especially for like public functions as a return value. It's pretty useful. And so when I say wrap, anything wrap in a OK result, I mean something like this. Let's go to the playground. So I would say unit value. So unit value is this. What I mean is something like this. And then if I say a text value, wrap in an error message, I'd say something like this. So like a text. So that would be like return result is equal to result.result, and then unit. So this is the type of the type that is inside the OK. And this is the type that is inside the error here. Yeah. Julian, in index, you should do one more thing. Are you talking about the function here? There's something wrong. Maybe I'm... What's missing here? The size and the index are different. Well, here, if the size, if the size is... Yeah, the index starts from 0, but then the size also will start from 0 because this is before. I could do either this or this. But I prefer to do it before because otherwise this is going to throw like an error saying that it's a NAT and it cannot be negative. But yeah, anyway, I think it's more like this. No worries. I'm also was also a bit. I also don't really like this way of getting the index actually, because like if the like someone asks if the if something is removed and for reason there is like a, I don't know, just seem a bit odd to do it like this, but I think it's the only way I can see, at least the easy way. And I want to check that. Yeah, I think with the I'm pretty confident that with the buffer we can be sure that if we do dot add, then the index where the new object is added is always gonna be the size -1, or the size before. If we do it before, it would be just the size. If we do it after, it would be the size -1. Anyway. Okay, so now we can get to the next one. Should the index not be index +1? No, I said it depends where you do it. So I do it before I took the index. So let's go for the situation where it's everything is empty. So if everything is empty, then I get the size, which is 0, and then I get the index, which is also 0 in this case because it starts at 0. Yeah, let's stop getting confused by this index thing. Homework ID. And returns the corresponding homework, wrap in OK result. So this is where we use the the result type like this, result.result. And then we put homework. In this case, this is what is gonna be for this is gonna be wrap for the OK result. So OK, and then the error is going to be a text message. So we can try let I think I prefer there are two ways to go about it. There is the get and the get optional. I really like the get optional because it's avoiding a trap. So we should try to avoid that as much as possible. That's get optional homework ID. And we can switch on it. In case it's null, we can just return the error message that we want. Homework with ID. Then we can do a clean message, not to text. ID. Has not been. Yeah. Otherwise, if we found it, we'll do this and we'll just return the homework. Wrap in OK. Right. I think I haven't imported NAT module, so I'm gonna do it. Let's do a deployment and try what we've done so far. So the title of our homework is going to be day 2. It's completed to false. The due date is, let's say, 1000. Complete the project of day 2 and submit to the dashboard. So we got the index 0. Now we can try for index 10. We should get an error. Homework with ID 10 has not been found, as expected. But if we do 0, we will get our homework. Also, one quick improvement that we can do is that we can define this function as a query function since we are not modifying anything. Okay. Let's see what's the next question. Implement update homework. So we are going to accept an homework ID again. And a new homework updates the diary and returns a unit value. Wrap in an OK result. If the homework ID is invalid, the function should return an error message. Wrap in an error result. I should give a bit more guidance. I think I will let you know the but you have the interface here, so you should be able to copy this. Let's go for the update. Yeah. Okay, so what we need to do is first we need to get the old homework, because we need to actually return an error message if the homework has not been found. So we can do this again. Otherwise, we will do a case if we have an homework find, we'll do so here I'm using the buffer.put method, which is defined here. Index and new element. So the index is homework ID. And then the new homework is homework. Yeah, in this case, it's not very good because I have the same variable here and here. Let's go for new homework. New homework. Yeah, actually, I could also just solve my problem like this, because I don't need to access this value. So I could do something like this. And then I can return, okay. This is returning, no, it's not returning anything, so it's great. Okay. Do we have any questions so far? Nope. So let's try our new function. we need to put the homework again because, of course, the state has been initialized. Let's see. Okay, and now we want to modify. So same description, same title, same due date, but we want to set it as completed. So we'll say true. Okay. And so if we check, it has been modified. So it seems that we are doing great. Already at question 6. Okay, this one mark as complete. I've seen a lot of people struggling with that. So we accept again a homework ID. And we just want to put the field to complete. So we want to put this to true. And the return type is here. This is again the same as the function before. Okay. Wait, what's happening here? Okay. Once again, it should return the same error message if the homework is not found. But in the case where it's found, we want to access the homework because we actually want to get the information that are stored here. So what I've seen a lot of people doing is something like this. I think it's because a lot of people are coming from probably JavaScript. And so, yeah, this is something that doesn't work in Motoko. So if you want to modify an object, all the fields are using immutable. All the fields are immutable. So you just need to basically create a new object. So let new homework, and that's how you can just take this. And copy from the homework that we have here, which is the one that is stored currently. Homework.title, homework.description. The due date is the same. And completed would be different, so we can put that to true. And here it should be equal every time, like this. And now that we have the new one, we can just put it back inside the data structure. So homework diary.put, and then the index is homework ID. And the one that we want is new homework. Now we can return okay. Let's deploy. Let's say day 3, completed to false. The due date would be 1000, and complete and submit. Okay. Now we can verify it's set to false, but if we put here, it should be updated to true. And it's working fine. So we are doing great. We have delete homework, get all homework, get pending homework, search homework. Let's go for the question 7. If you have any problem, like something is not clear or you have a different implementation, feel free to stop me. Otherwise, I'm gonna keep coding. So next one is delete homework ID, and this is the same return type, unit type and text here. And so let's see in the buffer library if we have something that looks like remove or delete. And yes, we have the remove, and we have the, yeah, this one, remove and returns the element at index from the buffer. So we might want to verify before that the homework actually exists, because otherwise we are going to trap. And we don't want that. We want to avoid that as much as possible. Switch. So let's go for the same. Once again, we verify. If it's not found, it's not found. But if it's found, then we want to do something different. If it's found, we don't want actually to access it. We don't really care about what's inside. We can just do a remove, and the index that we want is this one. And it's returning actually the value inside. So we can actually do like homework deleted is equal to this. Or we can also use one very useful keyword in Motoko, which is called ignore. And then it's just gonna ignore whatever value is here. And we don't store it. Because we don't really need this value. So I'm going to do it like this. Okay. Okay, I see that we have a few questions, so I'm going to stop for a few moments just to answer that. Is there another way to create objects for modification, such as using the JavaScript spread operator in JSON? So you can do, I'm not sure I got all the question, but you can do like destructuring, like you could do in JavaScript. The syntax with the spread operator, no. And in JSON, we've seen in the previous lecture, we've seen like how to use JSON with Motoko, because there is a library for it. But it's not like something that we have by default. Is it possible to uppercase or lowercase text? Yes. Yes, it is possible. That's a good point. So I'm just gonna do question 8, and then I will answer your question. So question 8, we need to implement get all homework. So public function get all homework. And we don't actually need any arguments. Also, it's a query. public query function, and then we return all the homework. So like this. And as we've seen, there is a function in the buffer. I think we've seen this function already multiple times, but there is a function which is here. Is it this one? Yeah, it's this one. ToArray. So it takes a buffer and returns an array, and it looks exactly like something we could use. And that's it. Very good. Okay, I'm going to stop here. There should be 9 and 10 that are still to be done. I'm going to stop here for today. And let's see how we could. So let's see how we could implement an uppercase or lowercase method. If I have a question like this one, I would go to the text module and see if it's not already inside. And no, it doesn't seem like it's inside. So I would also check the character. Okay, there is uppercase. But there is not two uppercase. In that case, this is gonna require us to go into the Unicode table, or like maybe just ASCII table. And so let's say we want to go from let's say we want to go from uppercase to lowercase. We would need to use the encoding, so we would need to use the actual ASCII encoding, so the value that is here. So in this case, it's 41 for A, and we would need to add up to 61. Is it 61? No, it's not 61. Wait, it's 100. I'm not looking the good row. It's this is hexadecimal. So this is 65 in 65 for A, and lowercase a is 97. So if you were to do that, you need to iterate over all the character in your text. You could do that with dot vals. I'm going to show you. Text, and return another text. We'll need to import character and text. For any character in the text, let's do in text.files. So here we are accessing the character. Let's say it's not files, it's cars like this. We're accessing the character. So let's say we put hello, we would have H, E, L, L, O. And so we can check from the character, we can access the NAT32 value, which contains the Unicode value. Let's code Unicode value is equal to char 2 not 32. Then we want to check is our value between, so is it a letter and is it an uppercase letter? Is it between 65 included and 90 included? If Unicode value is above or equal to 65, or and Unicode value is below or equal to 90, then what we do, let's new Unicode value is equal to Unicode value plus, and now we can check what is the difference that we need to add. So it's 65, and if we want to go to lowercase, it's 97, so we need to add 32 plus 32. And then the new character would be char from not 32 of the new Unicode value. And then new text is equal to new text is equal to new text concatenated with in this case we need to do something like this. So by default the new char is a character that we have here, but if it's a letter then we change the Unicode value like this and then like this. So, and then we return the new text. Unicode yeah, we need to, this is a character and this is a text, and for some reason I don't know why, but we cannot add those two just because of Motoko. So yeah, we need to convert it to text before. Yeah. Import. Yeah, good catch. Okay, so this is something I just tried out. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it should work. So let's say hello, and let's try something like this should not touch the exclamation mark because it's only for the letters that it should lowercase. Great, works. I hope it answers the question. We have a question, homework is a simple object, but if you have to change a complex object, is there a better way to modify an attribute of an immutable object without repeating every attribute? I think there is a syntax that just got out in Motoko, like to do that, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I usually repeat all the fields. It's not that long. You can just do like a copy paste. Just in case anyone is wondering, this function is not something that you need to do for the week. It's just because I wanted to answer a question. Do you want to get it? Yeah, you're there.
Hi.
Hey.
Yes, I was following you, and how I can say, my code was working, and suddenly through an error, and I don't understand why. Says that the title the file title does not exist in type homework, says, and in the mark as completed function.
You want to
Can
share the
I?
screen? Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
While you're doing that, I'll try to answer you, Julian. I think there is not another way to do it, at least right now, because of the Motoko libraries are still being developed. And so I don't think there is there is no to uppercase function. It's not too hard to implement, but I don't know, for some reason it's not there. And for text, I think it's the same.
I can't.
You could use this
share.
one maybe. Anyway. Sorry. Yeah. I need to add you as a panelist. One moment. Should be able to share your screen now.
Can you see now?
Yep.
Okay. So that I don't know why suddenly that and says field title does not exist type, but it exists.
Yeah, because you are using homework diary and not the homework. So homework diary is the data structure. The data structure that you have is the buffer, and you want to get the homework.
Okay.
So
just like this.
but you haven't accessed the homework. Like right now you have homework in your code, but it doesn't mean anything. The function doesn't know
Okay.
about which homework. So you have to
And
you have to remove your variable homework selected, and you have to use the buffer.get method that I've used. So this is buffer.get.
buffer.get where then previously that I had this get homework ID. No, but no. But it was working. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, right now you need to get use the buffer function. So let me show you. You need to use the buffer.get or the get optional. This is the one I like to use to access the homework. So which one? It's get homework, right? Well, now it's I think it's a bit late to go back, but now it takes some time. So yeah, the one that you're looking for is this one. And so here, what you are not doing
Mark as
is this.
complete. It is the mark as completed.
Sorry. Yeah, but it's the same pattern. You need to go and do a switch, and inside the switch, homework diary, get optional. So this is going to go inside the buffer, check the index that you provided here, check if there is something. If there is nothing if there is nothing, it's gonna return null. And in this case, you can just throw an error message. The homework has not been found. If there is something, then you can just access it with this syntax. So you need the interrogation mark and then homework. You need to give it a name. And then that's how you recreate a new object, homework. You take the same title, the same description, the same due date, and you just put completed as true. And then you just put it back in the diary. Yes, Federico, I'm going to look.
Okay. I will review.
What's the correct
Thanks.
syntax from the buffer function to array? I think I add it here. The syntax is this one, buffer to array, and then homework diary. Yeah, it's this syntax. So I think maybe you're struggling to understand the documentation because let me show the. No, the one that is depreciated is not the buffer to array. The one that is depreciated is this one. Like you can call to array directly on the buffer class like this. But it's not the recommended way to do it. They have kind of already modified how buffer works. And so now the recommended way is to import from buffer library the to array method. And so like this. And yeah, maybe this is because of the, I don't know, maybe the generic confuse you, I don't know. And then you also had a question regarding filter entries and map. And so this one is interesting. You need to provide a function. So we have already seen that. It's called a predicate. And it's only going to keep the functions, the elements for which the predicate is tested as true. So what I mean by that is that could actually do something like public function. This is not a question, but this is something I want to add. Keep only completed homework. And so we do this. We return nothing, but we just do buffer.filter entries. We need a predicate that takes an index and an element. So function is homework completed. I takes an index of type nuts and an homework of type homework, and it returns a Boolean like we've seen here. So I'm basically writing the code for the predicate, and it's gonna return homework.completed. So it returns true if the homework is completed and false if the homework is not completed. And then we can do like this. So index and homework. No, we need to do it like this. Is homework completed? And what's the problem with this? It's not. I'm not sure what's happening right now. I think it's just, no. Field filter entries does not exist in type. Ah, okay, because this is, okay. This time, it's the other way around. So it would be like, you need to call it on the buffer. So you need to do homework diary dot filter entries, and then the predicates. And this is gonna work. And how can I know that? I can know that because if you look like, well, actually, I just look at the, example that is here. So yeah, like this. Where could we found libraries? I Google it, but yeah, that's a problem. It's not very much visible. I think there should be, maybe if you do something like this. No, this one is pretty old. No, there are a few things here. Yeah, we have a few things here, but it's not completely up to date, I think. Well, actually, it's more than I thought. Yeah, there are a few things here. So you could check this. And also, I know that you can use this. This is good to find libraries. But it's not needed for this week. It's more like for after, if you need something. Yeah. And so you have like packages here. You have testing, fuzz, ITO tools, a few things. There are 42 packages, not that much. Okay, we are already past the hour. So good luck, everyone. Tomorrow we have, I have a lecture. The first lecture is mine. And then we have, let me see. We have, no, it's, and then we have a presentation on the memory. Oh, this one is gonna be about like the memories we've already discussed and what we were discussing earlier. The stable memory, the heap memory, the upgrades, what's kept, what's not kept, the stable memory, all those things. This is pretty important. And this lecture, in the morning, I'm probably going to do, it's gonna be like cycle management, how to use like admin functionalities and all sorts of errors. So it's gonna be very broad, different topics, and a lot of code. So see you everyone tomorrow. Bye. Good night.